Okay, so I could literally go through this, and so the whole point is I will say every movie that I saw in 1979, and the point being is I saw it at the theaters when it came out in this year. Not that I saw it later, not that I saw it later on Z or on TV, or I watched it on video later, or I saw it at a revival house. I had to, in 1979, I went to the movies and paid and saw it.
Okay.
Okay. So first film here was a Disney movie, but like one of their kind of wannabe young adult movies called Takedown.
Don't know it.
It was a wrestling movie. It was about a college wrestler, and Lorenzo Lamas was, Edward Herrmann was the teacher. Flounder, Stephen Furst from Animal House is in it. Maureen McCormick is the girl in it. But the whole thing was about Lorenzo Lamas, and he was kind of the Rocky guy who was the young wrestler. All right.
Did you like it?
It was okay. Again, I was really into seeing any movie that like had a young guy who was like
could be you.
The star. He could be me.
Yeah.
I always imagined. I was always that dude, and so I imagine me watching Lorenzo Lamas in Takedown and imagining that's me. Okay, there was an Italian guy later in the movie that as I'm watching, I go, no, I'd be more that guy.
Well, there you go.
All right, Hardcore. I saw Hardcore when it came out. All right, I saw it at the Del Amo Mall Theater. Everyone in the theater rejected the ending when the girl went home with him. All right, and they literally, they're in the, bullshit. I did see Boulevard Nights, but I didn't see it in '79. I saw it at the Carson Twin Cinemas, the lower half. No. I saw it in Hawthorne. I saw it on the Hood. I saw it at the Hawthorne 6. I saw Boulevard Nights. I thought it was pretty boring, but they got it was about lowrider culture,
right?
And it got the culture and the clothing right on, but it was a very pedestrian TV movie kind of story. Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. I saw that a couple times.
I saw that.
Gil Gerard, I thought he was really quite good in the movie.
Gil Gerard.
And it was actually kind of interesting because it was like Star Wars came out in 1977, and it became the sensation. And so they needed a science fiction movie right away, but they all had to be big. So for a year they're waiting for another science fiction movie, but they got to make them. So they're all going to come out at the end of '79. But they had done Buck Rogers in the 25th Century for television, and they could get it out sooner. So this was the first one out of the gate.
I kind of liked it. Did we like it?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun one. I even watched the series for a little bit. Okay, Norma Rae. Saw Norma Rae at the theaters.
Oh my God. Did you like it?
Yeah, I saw it a couple times.
Yeah.
Imagined I was playing the Ron Liebman role.
I was going to say you were a little young for the Ron Liebman role.
Yeah, I was, but that was imagined.
You could be the.
If I'm the older version of that guy, if I don't break like Eric Roberts, all right, I'll be the Ron Liebman type.
You could be the union activist.
Yeah. A film that I was a big fan of, I saw it a couple of times, and I've seen it a couple of times since, is Fast Break with Gabe Kaplan.
Yes.
All right, the basketball movie.
Yes.
Apparently, every time they show it on ESPN, it always just kills.
Really?
Yeah, to this day.
It's like the Ducks, like the Mighty Ducks or something.
Also in the same vein as of the young guy making a movie, especially like in the supposed to be Italian kind of shit, was Voices. With Michael Octane and Amy Irving, where she's the deaf girl. And he's the kid from the wrong side of the tracks that helped her become a dancer.
And Kale reviewed that, I think.
No, she didn't actually.
No,
she didn't. She didn't.
Somehow I feel she did.
She liked
Michael Onkeen.
Yeah, she put down. She used to make fun of Amy Irving at this time. She changed her tune with Yentl, but she really made fun of her a lot for the competition.
Did she make fun of her in the De Palma? The one where she's with Andrew Stevens, whatever that's called, where they're twins?
No, she would. She doesn't talk about Amy Irving that much in the Fury review, or Andrew Stevens for that matter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, China Syndrome. Saw China Syndrome. Not only did I see China Syndrome, I remember I snuck into that theater because it was a multiplex. It was at the Del Amo Mall, and they had low seating, and I snuck in. So I came in. I saw the ending first. That whole ending with Wilford Brimley. All right, so I saw the big climax, all right, and I saw the whole theater be affected by the climax. Then I stayed to see the whole rest of the thing. But that was one of those big endings at that time.
Let me ask you one question before I forget. Is there any major, like, tentpole-y kind of movie like Star Wars that you didn't see? Or didn't see until much later?
There might be.
Did you miss, like The Matrix or something?
No, of course I saw The Matrix.
No, I know, but you know what I mean.
Well, no, there's a lot of stuff now. All right,
Right.
that doesn't count now.
No.
Okay, so I've never seen a Harry Potter movie. All right,
Me neither.
I saw the first Avengers, and I saw the. I didn't see the second one, but I saw Captain America: Civil War, which is like an Avengers movie.
Yeah, it was definitely.
But there's all kind of there's all kinds of stuff like that. I've never seen a Hurt Locker. Not Hurt Locker. I've never seen not Hurt Locker. I've seen Hurt Locker, but the Hunger Games. I never saw that.
Right.
Because I love Battle Royale so much. I'm just offended that it exists. Okay, so to go through these a little bit quicker. Okay, so Old Boyfriends, written by Paul Schrader.
Right.
With Talia Shire.
Right.
So that. Not only did I see the movie version of Bell Jar, I actually wrote a review for it for a singles magazine that actually gave. If you wrote reviews, it would give you the press screening tickets. So I wrote 2 reviews. I wrote the review for the Bell Jar.
When you were 16, 14?
I wrote a review for the Bell Jar, which again, me writing a review of the Bell Jar with no concept of the book whatsoever. There's only the movie.
Who plays Sylvia Plath?
It was directed by Larry Pierce, the guy who did Other Side of the Mountain, and starred Marilyn Hassett from Other Side of the Mountain.
Okay.
I liked it.
Okay. I'm sure it's very good.
I don't know. I liked it then. I don't know if I'd like it now. Hair, all right, which I saw at the Cinema Dome when it came out. I thought it was. I think Hair is kind of a travesty now, but people loved it when it came out.
I know. I didn't like it.
I loved it back then. I cried to Let the Sun Shine with Burger's grave and everything. And I remember Roger Ebert picked it as his favorite movie of the year. Now I think it's lame.
I agree with you.
Very lame.
I agree with you.
And but
it does not hold up.
But there's a reason. But there's also a real reason why it doesn't. Why to me it doesn't work. And part of the big reason why it doesn't work is, and he gives a good performance in the movie. It's the casting of John Savage as Claude. All right. So when they cast him as Claude, he can't do the songs. That's not what he's there for. Well, Claude has as many songs as Berger has in the movie. So when they pretty much neuter Claude to a non-character who only has authenticity going for him because he does look a little Oklahoma-ish. All right. So they neuter Claude and they make Berger way too big. Now Berger has Claude songs. He has Berger songs and he has Claude songs. And it just throws it completely off. The character of Claude needs to be as important a character as Berger.
Right. I think it has other problems too. The horse.
Yeah. A lot of things. A lot of it doesn't work.
I like Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah, it's like, well, but even like the whole thing, I remember the 360 of Ren Wood singing Aquarius being great, but but when you watch it again, it's like he keeps cutting into it, so he doesn't really let the shot really develop the way it needs to develop. Okay, at the same time, Love at First Bite.
George Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. Manhattan. Woody Allen following up Annie Hall in this huge, big, incredible way.
Great year.
A film that I saw about 4 times because I loved
Manhattan?
it. No. This one, next one, Little Romance.
Oh, Diane Lane.
Yeah, and I completely identified with the French kid in it.
You would be good as a French kid in it.
No, I wouldn't have been. No, he's too young. All right, I wouldn't have been good in that role. But I identified with the French kid. All right, I actually identified with he was watching Burt Reynolds movies and The Sting, and he's watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and he's watching Hustle with Burt Reynolds and Catherine Deneuve, and I was just really taken with that whole story.
And Diane Lane.
Yeah, I'm very taken with Diane Lane, and also, but like the little kid knew about movies. He knew that like her, his mom's director lover was a bad director. Oh, he's a horrible director. No, everybody hates him. There's only one critic for Paris Match who likes his work. The remake of Hurricane I saw with my mom.
Mia Farrow?
Yeah, with Mia Farrow. And Dayton Caney was the name of the island boy in it.
I never saw it, but yet I knew that. That's pathetic.
The Champ, all right, with John Voight. I saw that.
Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah, little Ricky Schroeder, saw that. Last Embrace, Jonathan Demme's Hitchcockian thriller.
Never saw that.
That he did with Roy Scheider and Janet Margolin.
Good?
I liked it a lot. It was a little dry then, and it's still dry now. Frankly, but I still kind of like it. It's got an interesting spy story, but it has a big climax that's very exciting at Niagara Falls.
Did you take notes on any of these?
No.
Oh, you just remember them all that well. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Alien, which was one of the events of the year.
Yes.
Absolutely one of the events of the year.
It still holds up.
Yeah, it holds up to this day as well, if not. I think of the movies so far, I think Alien and Manhattan are like the two so far. Escape from Alcatraz, which was too dry for me back then. I love it now.
I love it now.
I love it now. I wrote a review for it on the New Beverly website that I'm real proud of and everything. But I love it now. But it was too dry for me back then.
It's really good though.
A movie that actually holds up even better, I like it more now than I did then, was Richard Lester's Butch Cassidy and Sundance, the early years. Which we showed it at the New Beverly a little bit ago. It plays really great.
Tom Berenger and William Catt.
And they're great together. They're great together. There's even like sequences you can tell that were like left over from Bill Goldman's original script that he couldn't stick in. I'd heard that he put a couple sequences, and you watch the movie, you can tell exactly what sequences they are too.
I used to think Tom Berenger was the most gorgeous person.
He was great, and he was great, that was a great time for him. And Richard Lester was doing great stuff at that point in time. One of the big hits of the year, which I never quite understood it was one of those movies that was a huge hit. It was funny. I thought it was quite as funny as everybody else did, though, was The In-Laws.
I never saw it.
Yeah, I definitely saw The In-Laws. It was funny and I liked it, but it was
Alan Arkin.
Yeah, Alan Arkin and
Peter Falk.
Peter Falk, and it was a smash hit.
Yeah,
it was one of the big hits of the year.
And he's a spy or something.
Yeah, the in-laws of their daughter,
and then
their
they
son.
remade it with
I think they did it with
Michael Douglas or something.
Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
The Main Event. With Barbara and Ryan O'Neal. Okay, the Muppet movie. Saw that. North Dallas 40. Fucking loved North Dallas 40 when it came out, and I saw it.
I thought North Dallas 40, and maybe this is true. I thought that was so adult.
Oh yeah. Oh no, me too. That was one.
I thought it was like he can't get out of bed. Yeah. The girl's sleeping there. I mean, it was very.
Oh yeah, no, it was the.
It was dark.
He wakes up. It's like the first image is him waking up with the blood on the pillow from the bleeding nose. First thing he does is light up a joint.
Yeah.
All right. He feels all the aches and pains, and his body's out of alignment and shit. And first thing he does is have sex with a guy's wife.
Exactly. And she's kind of exotic in a not normal like football player kind of way.
And then the humor was so profane.
Yeah.
And so here is what in 1979 would have been my favorite movie of the year, Rocky II.
Okay.
To me, one, I like Rocky II more than Rocky I.
Who's the opponent in Rocky II?
Oh, it's Apollo Creed again. It's their big, it's their big rematch. And there also was this aspect because after Rocky, Stallone, his follow-ups didn't do well, and the press made a big deal about that, about how Fist flopped and Paradise Alley was a flop. I didn't know it was a flop. All right, I saw it 3 times. I didn't know it was a flop.
I love that.
But they were really taking him. There was the press machine that had made him the Cinderella boy was now rolling over on him. And they go, he can't really, he can only play as a stupid boxer. That's all he can do. And he's completely flopped out. And he's a real loudmouth in his press interviews. And so then he comes out with Rocky II. And now he's directed Rocky II. So Rocky II kind of has to work, or he is, Sylvester come lately. And it's a smash.
Yeah.
It's a terrific movie. It actually betters on a lot of the aspects of Rocky. And he is beyond charming in the film. It was like, after all the whole Sylvester Stallone, the celebrity, it kind of got put through the ringer to a giant degree. But to see him play the Rocky character again, it actually reminded you why you liked Rocky so much in the first place. And like, the first Rocky movie is more of a character study. This is more of a personality expansion.
Right.
But it works completely as a personality expansion.
Right.
It's just he's and he kind of has the audience in the palm of his hand. That was one of the reasons. Beside that, I was so happy for him that he pulled it off, and the movie meant a lot to me, and it was inspirational. I was trying to get in shape after you see the movie because you get all caught up in the montage, moments of it all. But there also even was just the idea, though, that Stallone kind of redeemed himself. And he ends up telling his story, because it's like, he kind of shows what it's like to be a star and then kind of become a bit of a laughingstock, like the Rocky character does, and then he has to kind of come back. So, in his own way, he actually tells his story even a little bit more personally in Rocky 2 than he did in Rocky 1. But then the other thing that I'm also kind of gene splicing about was, after I've seen the movie a few times, was the effect that it had on audiences. They really loved Rocky. They wanted the best for him. And there's this one moment, it might just be a mistake of montage or something, but part of the thing in the movie is he has a spending spree that happens at the beginning of the film, where he buys a necklace and he buys jackets and he buys all this loud ass shit. And one of the things he buys is a Trans Am, with a big gold eagle on it. And then now he starts losing all of his money, and he starts trying to get rid of everything. And he's trying to sell Paulie the Trans Am.
Oh, wow.
And then he does. Then when things get lifted up and he's gonna fight Apollo Creed, and it starts one of their montages, and things are kind of going good. His wife was in a coma, she's out of the coma now, and she says, I just want you to do one thing for me. What's that? Win. Mickey, what are you waiting for? And so now it starts the Gonna Fly Now montage. And so he starts off by just doing his little jog. So he runs out of his Philadelphia tenement, and you see the Trans Am parked in the back. Now, it could have just be a mix-up of editing that, like, by the time he put that in there, it was meant to be for a scene before he sold the car.
Right. But
it's after he sells the car to Paulie. And the audience is so rooting for him, everyone in the audience goes, he's got the car back! It's like things are going good for him. He got the car back, and now he's running, and now it's all going good, yeah!
How many times did you see it?
6. 7. Then the first engagement alone, yeah. Frank Langella's Dracula.
Oh, dear.
Which I actually kind of still like. Even
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaking Away, which was a big film that year.
I loved Breaking Away. I don't think it holds up.
I do. I've
really?
seen it recently. It actually holds up pretty well.
Oh, really?
The Amityville Horror, which I saw a couple of times, even though I didn't care for it. The Wanderers, which I loved.
I love
All right,
it.
I saw that about 6 times.
Phil Kaufman.
Yeah, to this day, whenever I find myself in a bad neighborhood, I'm like, oh my God, we're in Ducky Boy territory.
Karen Allen as the folk singer girl.
More American Graffiti.
I never saw it. Was it good?
Oh, yeah, it's very good.
Yeah,
they did a good job with it. Okay, Apocalypse Now, which was, to me, Rocky was my personal favorite movie, but Apocalypse Now was the movie of the year, as far as I was concerned. And I took the bus to Hollywood to see it at the Cinerama Dome, and got the program that they gave out, and I still have the Life magazine with Brando on the cover.
Oh, wow.
I was into everything about Apocalypse Now. I've been reading about it for years. Couldn't wait to see it. That's one that I imagine being one of the guys on the boat. That would have been amazing.
Well, you could have been any of them.
I would have wanted to be the Frederick Forrest character.
Of course. Yeah, well, Frederick Forrest is good. But you could also have been, who's the surfer?
Nah, I'm not going to beat it over Sam Bottoms. I didn't look like a surfer. All right.
Excuse me.
Robert Young's movie Rich Kids, which I saw at a sneak preview back when they used to have sneak previews. Remember that?
Of course, I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark at a sneak preview.
Oh, really? What did you see it with?
It was by itself. It was like, there was a thing, sneak preview, there was a picture, and we went.
Well, back then, normally what it was
It was in Westwood.
A sneak preview was attached to another movie. So it's like, oh, so you're going to see this thing.
Right.
But if you stay...
I think there was an ad in the Times, and LA Times, and I knew enough to know that something about it was interesting. Like, I didn't know Harrison Ford, really, but I wanted to see it.
Well, Rich Kids was sort of like the arty New York version of A Little Romance.
I see.
To some degree.
I see.
Also, I saw it when it came out, Concord Airport 1979.
I've seen that recently. It was on the retro channel or whatever.
Yeah, the one that I like, the one that I've actually seen a few times that I really like is Airport 77. The one with Jack Lemmon is
that a good one?
Yeah, it's a pretty good. It's my favorite of
Airport
them.
with Burt Lancaster is kind of funny because it's so antiquated.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's good about it.
But I do love that on the airplane they all, like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, everyone dresses up to fly.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's very VIP. And Justice for All, which I think I saw 3 times just for the ending alone.
With Al.
Yanks. I was a big Richard Gere fan.
You were? How
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I was following all those guys. Okay, and now the thing is, I knew I could never play Richard Gere's character, but there was his buddy in the movie, Chick Vanera, who for 2 seconds had a little moment. All right, because he had played Marv the Leatherman in Thank God It's Friday.
Oh, wow.
He was kind of the standout guy in Thank God It's Friday. And so this was his big follow-up movie.
Who was the woman in Yanks?
Lisa Eibacher.
Oh, okay.
And she later did Cutter's Way.
Oh, right.
She was a guy in Cutter's Way.
Cutter's Way is a good movie. Maybe not.
Cutter's Way is a very good movie.
Yeah.
Onion Field.
Ah.
That was a big thing at the time. Meteor, I saw Meteor at the theater when it came out with Natalie Wood and Sean Connery. When a Stranger Calls, I saw that when it came out. 10, I saw that when it came out.
10 was that year?
Yeah,
My
10 was
God.
that year. Black Stallion, I saw that when it came out. Movie called Avalanche Express with Robert Shaw and Lee Marvin, Robert Shaw's last movie. I saw that when it came out. Starting Over with Burt Reynolds, I saw that when it came out.
Is that good? I've never seen it. Candice Bergen?
Oh yeah, no, it's terrific. It's James L. Brooks.
Ah, James L. Brooks.
It's his first. It's the beginning of James L. Brooks because it's his first script where it's like, oh, okay, what he would do and his other things is there,
Right.
and starting over. You know, like Nora Ephron scripts are there before even she started directing.
For sure.
I didn't see The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh when it came out, but I did see Stanley Kramer's movie The Runner Stumbles, with Dick Van Dyke and Kathleen Quinlan, where it's a priest and a nun who fall in love, realize they're in love with each other.
Wow. Controversial.
Okay, didn't see saw The Rose.
With Bat?
Yes. Great Santini. I didn't see it in '79. It didn't. It started playing again big time in 1980. So this was its first engagement screening. So I didn't see The Great Santini. I did see 1941. Couldn't wait to see 1941. Went to disagree with everybody. I loved it. I read the paperback novelization that Bob Gale wrote.
Wow.
Realized how much they cut out of the movie. And I went to this, and again, that was one of the ones where I took up the bus from the South Bay to see 1941 at the Cinema Dome, because I had to see it at the Dome.
Wow.
Being there, I saw that. I didn't quite appreciate it.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't quite appreciate it.
Yeah.
Star Trek The Motion Picture, which I talked myself into liking. All right, and I talked myself into liking, even though I didn't really quite like it. Then I saw it again, and I didn't quite like it. Then I saw it again about 10 years later, and I didn't quite like it. But then I saw it 2 years ago, and I showed it to Daniela, my wife, and she had never seen any Star Trek movies, and she liked it. And finally seeing it a 4th time, completely taking in what it's not, I finally could see it for what it was.
I see.
And I kind of appreciated it. Also, it was just kind of fun about seeing William Shatner starring in literally at that time, the most expensive movie ever made.
And who's the villain?
It doesn't really have a villain.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a villain. That's the problem. Black Hole, which had Robert Forster in it.
Right.
I saw that. I saw this. Now all the big science fiction extravaganzas that they've been making for a year, now they're all coming out at the end of the year.
I see.
I saw The Jerk. Naturally, saw that a couple times. I saw All That Jazz. Not only did I see All That Jazz when it came out, I was playing at one of the few theaters in the South Bay, the UA Torrance, that was a standalone theater. Most of them were multiplexes. There was like 2 other ones in the South Bay, but one of they usually played like the big epic-y movies, like an Apocalypse Now or a Close Encounters. Star Wars would play there.
Right.
But the UA Torrance managed to have really wonderful experiences there. I remember like even seeing Annie Hall there, like on a Sunday. It's a new Woody Allen movie. Didn't know anything about it. I was 14.
Yeah. Because it came out the year before Manhattan.
Yeah. And so I just looked in the newspaper. It was playing at a 3:30 show on a Sunday. I didn't even tell my mom what I was doing. I just hopped on the bike and rode out there and saw Annie Hall. And little did I know, I'm seeing a real piece of cinema art that my 12 or 13-year-old brain is not really it's equipped to handle it, but it's handling it. It's a thing.
Right.
I've seen a thing.
Right. And you knew it.
And the thing that's, that was even hard for critics at its time to decipher.
Right.
I mean, some people just thought it was a joke machine because they couldn't see the depth inside of it. It wasn't that, oh, wow, my mind was blown, but I had seen something.
Yeah.
That wasn't bananas.
Right.
And
or take the money and run.
And so I remember I rode my bicycle home. So I'd just seen Annie Hall. And it leaves you with that kind of melancholy, kind of wistful feeling. And I'm having melancholy and wistful feelings about something I've never lived. And I ride the bike home, and I just kind of go in my room, and I just remember lying down on the bed and thinking about what it was that I saw.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movie memories. Of just coming home from on a Sunday afternoon. It's still daylight outside. My mom didn't even know I went to the movies.
Wow.
And I'm just kind of having this private moment with Annie Hall. And I ended up having a similar thing with All That Jazz. However, the thing that I remember about All That Jazz, by this point in time, I'm lying about my age, and I'm working at the Pussycat Theater.
Right, I remember this.
So I'm working at a porno theater. I'm 16 years old, saying I'm 18. And so I'm working at the Pussycat Theater, and I just get off work. And I go and see, and it was Friday, and I just got paid. It's Friday night, and I just got paid. And I go see All That Jazz, and while I'm in the theater, I lose my paycheck.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was the travesty. It was a disaster.
No.
And I still liked the movie so much. I was still happy, even with a tragedy, a disaster. That's a disaster.
That's a disaster.
And I still love the movie. I still thought it was terrific.
I didn't really get All That Jazz when I saw it as a kid, to be honest. I like it. I love it now. But at the time, I found it like she's death. I don't know. The whole thing was a little showtime.
I actually got that.
Well, you're better than I am.
No, but I think I got everything I needed to get, and I didn't. And what I didn't get, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I saw Richard Lester's Cuba when it came out. Kind of didn't do much for me. The Electric Horseman, which I thought was really good. At the time, I saw Chapter 2, which I didn't care for when it came out. And now it comes down to the more exploitation-y kind of things.
Okay,
and the independent movies. I saw Circle of Iron, which was the David Carradine movie that is based on the Bruce Lee screenplay, The Silent Flute.
Ah, interesting.
Obviously, I saw Richard Pryor live in concert. I saw this Chic-Son classic movie, The Bermuda Triangle. They're the guys that did
yes, of course.
In Search of Noah's Ark and Beyond and Back. Saw The Warriors. When that
Which
came
started
out.
riots.
Yes, it absolutely did. I'm a big fan of this movie. We screened it recently at the New Beverly, and I'll tell this story to people from time to time because it's interesting enough. It's almost a better story to tell than a movie. Was the movie The Promise? It's directed by Gil Cates, the guy who directed the Academy Awards all the time. He was Phoebe Cates' father.
Yeah. Shyam Potok?
What?
Is it not The Promise by Shyam Potok?
No.
Okay.
No, it's a real fun 70s tearjerker. It's with Stephen Collins and Kathleen Quinlan. Oh. And the whole idea is they're young lovers and they're going to get married, and Stephen Collins is rich. He has a big company, big real estate firm, and his mom is Beatrice Straight. And she's the monarch, the patriarch that runs everything. And so he wants to marry this girl out of college, Kathleen Quinlan. And the mother doesn't. She's not good enough for you. You can get somebody else. That kind of shit. And so, well, screw you, old lady. I'm going to marry her right now. And so they go to get married, and it's a rainy night, and the car crashes. And her face is destroyed, absolutely destroyed. So the mom comes down to the hospital. The son's going to be okay. He was thrown from the car. He's just out of it right now, but he's going to be fine. But the woman, her entire face has just been destroyed. So the mother goes to the girl and says, look, I will pay for you to have a new face, and I will fix your face up and everything, but you can never see my son again. Well, what does he have to say? Well, when I told him about your face is destroyed, he wants out of the situation. And he doesn't know anything about this. So she thinks that the son threw her over, so she accepts her deal. And then when the son comes to, the mother tells the son that she died. So the woman gets a new face. Now she looks like Kathleen Quinlan. And then she becomes a famous photographer. Well, the son goes out, and now he's not married to her. He commits to being a big businessman, and he finds her photography. And he wants to, he's going to build, I think, a big series of banks. And he'd like to use her photographs as the way to advertise the bank in an artistic way. So he goes to see her, and he doesn't recognize her. She looks different. Now she knows who he is, and she thinks she threw him over. So she's giving him a hard time through the whole thing, and he has no idea why he's giving her a hard time. But he keeps pursuing her, and he keeps pursuing her, and she keeps giving him a hard time, and then they start kind of liking each other, and then she's reminded again about what she thinks he did. And the whole thing ends up is early on in the film, in the opening credits, you see them going through some fair in Santa Cruz or something, and she buys a piece of shit beady necklace from some hippie vendor. So they're up in Santa Cruz and they're looking over the lake. I mean, the lake, it's the ocean. They're looking at the ocean and the rocks, and it's all pretty. And she lifts up a rock and she takes the beads and says, these beads represent our love. And at some point, 20 years from now or 30 years from now, we'll come up and we'll open this rock and we'll look at these beads and they'll think about, the love that we share with each other right now. Boom. She puts the rock on top of it. So now they seems like they're going to get together, but he still doesn't know the story, and she thinks she knows the wrong story, and then finally she has a big explosion, and she tells him the F.O., and now she just has to eradicate the whole thing. So she hops in a car, and she's going to drive to Santa Cruz.
To find the rock.
She's going to find the rock, and she's going to take the beads, and she's going to throw them in the ocean. And then, good riddance to bad rubbish. Enough of this effing guy. And so he goes to her boyfriend, and he's like, why don't you leave her alone? Look, what is everyone talking about? And then the boyfriend finally tells him the story.
Oh, wow.
And so now...
he's going to the rock.
Yeah, and so she's driving, and we're with her, and it's driving all night, and now it's sunrise, and she parks the car, and she climbs up the hill, and the music's going big, and then she gets to the rock, and she opens up the rock, and there's nothing there. And then we hear Stephen Collins say, are you looking for these?
Ah.
And he turns around and he's holding the shitty-ass beads. Yeah, I'm afraid I can't give you these beads. See, they're very important to me. They're very meaningful to me. See, the person that I loved more than anybody else in the ever world, I bought them for her. And see, I was told she had died. And so to me, these beads are more important than life themselves. So if you want to destroy them, I'm afraid I can't let you because they mean that much to me. And then everyone cries, and then Melissa Manchester sings the theme song for The Promise.
I see.
I promise.
And you loved it at the time?
It was great. And it got the worst review of the year in Los Angeles Times. I think it was Kevin Thomas, like, oh my God, people are laughing at the movie. This is so corny. I really liked tearjerkers back then. And so I read that horrible review and saw the 10:30 show the Friday it opened at the Delamo Ball. I was totally crying at the end. And like I say, you don't have to, I actually like telling that's a story that actually reduces down, all right? And actually has a nice effect. Okay, so
I love that story. That was great.
Getting through this.
I almost feel like I saw the movie, which
that's why my version has the benefit of being shorter than the movie. Phantasm, which all my friends loved and I didn't care for that much. Star Crash, which was an Italian Star Wars ripoff, all right?
And these played theatrically?
Yeah, they all play theatrically. I'm not naming them if I didn't see them at the theaters then.
See, I haven't even heard of half of those. I didn't know my B pictures.
California Dreaming, which was a beach movie directed by John Hancock, the guy who was fired from Jaws 2, and which also starred Dennis Christopher. It was his second, that year he did both Breaking Away and California Dreaming. Saw it recently, it's not bad.
Okay.
One of the best movies of the year, Dawn of the Dead.
Of course.
Interesting.
And influential.
Oh, absolutely. It's not good, but no, Dawn of the Dead is very good. But a post-apocalyptic movie directed by Richard Compton, the guy who did Macon County Line, called Ravagers, that had Richard Harris in it. I also saw a cheerleader comedy called HOTS, H-O-T-S.
Okay.
Danny Bonaducci was in that, actually. No. Malibu High, which actually...
Malibu High.
Malibu High was a Crown International movie, and it was actually pretty terrific. It starred this girl named Jill Lansing. That she's one of the finds of 70s exploitation movies. She did one movie, and then she disappeared. Just this one. And I remember when Kevin Thomas reviewed it, he actually kind of made it and it bears this kind of comparison. He compared it at the time to The Honeymoon Killers. Oh. Now, it's a cheap-ass, done in 13-day Crown International movie shot at some South Bay high school. But it's about a girl who's, she's kind of obsessed with this kid at the school. And first, she starts blackmailing her. She starts having sex with her teachers and blackmailing them to get better grades. Well, that works. And
always works.
And then she starts becoming a prostitute through this pimp guy. But as opposed to something like Angel, she doesn't kind of go through degradation. She kind of controls everything. Right. But then she actually is about. She figures out a way that she can kill a couple of people and get their money, and so she does that, and all of it is kind of because of this like little scumbag that she likes to kind of send her on the road to degradation a little bit, until eventually she's going to get even on him.
Wow. Okay.
And it's and
sounds kind of good.
It's a pretty good movie, and she's really kind of terrific in the film. Okay, wrapping this up, also from Crown International, was Van Nuys Boulevard, which I saw. Don DeLuise's directorial debut, a movie called Hot Stuff, with him and Suzanne Plachette and Jerry Reed.
I remember that.
A movie called Hometown USA, which was American Graffiti kind of thing that Max Baer did. Chuck Norris's second movie, Force of One.
Force of One.
Yeah, which had also like Ron O'Neal and Clu Gulager in it. The Bruce Lee, what they kind of put together from the Bruce Lee movie, Game of Death, with Colleen Camp in that one.
Colleen Camp.
Nightwing, Arthur Hiller's movie about bats, killer bats.
Yeah.
The Prophecy, John Frankenheimer's bear horror movie, ecology horror movie that has this wild, crazy bear in it, with Talia Shire and Robert Foxworth. Again, only picking stuff I saw. The Villain, Hal Needham's movie with Kirk Douglas and Anne Margaret and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, the Frisco Kid, which is horrible. Robert Alt, one of our second to last movie with Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford. But a terrific movie, and I actually think the best screenplay ever written for an exploitation movie, the movie The Lady in Red, with Pamela Sue Martin, and written by John Sayles, and I think it's the best. That movie could be remade now with Jennifer Lawrence in the lead role, and it would be fantastic. And David O. Russell could do it, and he wouldn't change a word of the script. He shouldn't change a word of the script. It should be done like Once Upon a Time in America or something. And they had 2 weeks to shoot it. And
Pamela Sue Martin had a big moment.
Yeah, and she was. It's a classic, and I think it's the best exploitation script of all the movies ever made from an exploitation.
Well, was it Pamela Sue Martin where she gets pregnant or something? There was another movie.
She did a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Rock and Roll High. It was the year of Rock and Roll High School.
Oh wow.
I saw that, and
that was a hit. That was a big hit.
Yeah, Americathon with John Ritter, or the Neil Israel movie, wasn't that good. And again, I saw a crappy sexploitation movie called Swap Meet, which was awful. Swap Meet.
Swap Meet. Okay.
Seven, not the David Fincher movie, but the William Smith movie, which actually it's an Andy Sedaris movie, and it looks like an Andy Sedaris movie, but I was happy to see it because William Smith was the star of it. Sammy Stops the World, which was Sammy Davis's live videotaped version of him doing a production of Stop the World, I Want to Get Off.
Oh.
It was done by the same people that did the Richard Pryor Live in Concert.
Ah.
But imagine you're watching a shot on videotape live production of Sammy Davis Jr. doing Stop the World, I Want to Get Off.
Did you like it?
No. In fact, I think I thought I was ripped off. Skate Town, USA, which was the second roller disco movie, and has, which I saw 3 to 4 times at the theaters. And it was unwatchable because it had all these horrible comedians like Gary Muldeer and Vic Dunlop. They were just not funny. And crazy like Dave Mason sections where the movie just stops as Dave Mason, boring ass Dave Mason sings a song. But it has an Apache dance, a disco roller skating Apache dance between Patrick Swayze, before he became famous, playing the bad guy, Patrick Swayze and his dance partner, where they do to a disco version of Under My Thumb.
Wow.
And it's an amazing sequence.
Where's 3 to 4 views?
I literally watched it 4 times just to see that dance sequence.
Yeah, on roller skates.
Yeah, on roller skates. Jaguar Lives, which stars kickboxing star Joe Louis. Getting down the end here, Roller Boogie, which was the other roller disco movie with Linda Blair. A movie called Scavenger Hunt, which was done by Michael Schultz, the guy who did Cooley High. That's sort of like a...
Cooley High.
Sort of like a...
Cooley High was a big movie.
Yeah, Cooley High was terrific. Yeah. This is sort of a wannabe, it's a mad, mad, mad world. Leon Isaac Kennedy's Penitentiary. Okay, so that is, and I'll do it real quickly. Okay, that's the American shit. Foreign, which will be a little easier because I wasn't going to that many foreign movies at that time, but I saw Wife Mistress with Marcello Mastroianni and Laura Antonelli. I saw The Innocent with Giancarlo Giannini and Laura Antonelli. And Jennifer O'Neill. I saw The Great Train Robbery.
With Leslie Ann Down.
With Leslie Ann Down and Sean Connery, Michael Crichton movie. Saw and loved The Silent Partner. With Elliot Gould and Christopher Plummer.
Can we just say something about Laura Antonelli for one moment? Do we actually think she could act? No.
Oh, I think she could act really well. All right. Not only that, I even made a point of how well she could act because
she was
she was kind of known as the wet dream queen.
Yeah, of course.
At that time, and part of the thing was because Wife Mistress and Divine Nymph, like literally played for 6 months at the Laemmle theaters, and it was 6 months of like just that Wife Mistress ad in the newspaper, and there was
a star of the Z Channel.
And there was even, but look, she was driving people to the Laemmle theaters, man. She was a draw. And all of her old movies started getting released. Like How Funny Can Sex Be, and all these other ones.
She was huge.
Mistress was being released. She was huge. Not only that, there was actually a famous. They printed.
Was she big in Italy or just in America?
Yeah, she was very big in Italy, but she became an art house queen.
Yeah.
And so like. That movie and all of her old movies and some of those weird sex comedies she did, it's all started getting re-released because of just her name alone.
Right.
High Heels with Claude Chabrol.
Yeah.
And the Claude Chabrol film. And also, they, at one point in the Los Angeles Times, they had a still of her from Wife Mistress, which is her in a negligee, laying on a Che lounge.
I remember it.
With the long legs.
Yeah.
And by that point in time,
you were older.
The Wife Mistress had played for 6 months straight, so it was like Wife Mistress has legs. 6 big months in Los Angeles. All right, so Nosferatu, saw that when it came out. La Cage aux Folles, saw that, brought the house down.
Yeah.
To see La Cage aux Folles in 1978 when it came out on a Saturday night in a jam-packed theater. You never heard hilarity like the last 20 minutes of that movie. I mean, it just brought the house down.
I have to admit, when I saw the Mike Nichols version, I cracked up.
Oh, I re-watched that about 2 years ago at Home Alone not at Home Alone, with a buddy.
Yeah.
And we were surprised at how much we were laughing.
Yeah.
We thought it was.
I mean, what's his name? Hank Azaria is very funny in it.
Hanover Street, which I'm always a big fan of. I'm a big Peter Hyams fan anyway.
Yes.
Meatballs, which I saw at a sneak preview. Mentioned that to Bill Murray at one of the Lost in Translation parties. I go, I saw Meatballs at the sneak preview on the Friday. Then they had a big sneak preview. I remember that Friday. That was a big day for me. And didn't see Moonraker.
Didn't see Moonraker.
Didn't see Moonraker.
Why not? Were you in an anti-Bond field?
No, I really liked the Spy Who Loved Me, but Moonraker just seems stupid to me.
Really?
Yeah, it just seems stupid.
Have you seen it since?
No, never seen Moonraker.
See, there we go. That's the one you've missed.
Okay, that's one of the ones I missed, for sure. Life of Brian, all right, which I thought was hysterical when it came out. Saw Soldier of Orange, all right? It was a little over my head, but that was one of the ones when I was able to start seeing foreign films at the Cove. That was one of the foreign films of the year, actually. That was a big deal.
Soldier of Orange freaked me out as a child because I had never seen a naked man.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, and when you saw Soldier of Orange, he's naked, and I was like, what is that? I mean, I was really like kind of freaked out by Soldier of Orange.
Time After Time, which I loved.
And he has that
back
scene
then.
where he with the girl on the wall. Yeah, there's a whole thing.
But you remember Time After Time?
Oh, yes, of
Malcolm
course.
McDowell,
Yes,
the
of
time
course.
travel movie. It was terrific. Love and Bullets, which was the Charles Bronson movie. It has a really good cast, actually. Luna, which I didn't care for, didn't understand.
Oh, Luna, the incest one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I never saw it. Just know about it. Read the Pauline Kael review.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The Europeans, which bored me. And I did not see The Divine Nymph then. I've seen it since. I actually own a print of it since. Really, this is a good Canadian film. I really like Running. With Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
That was a good one. Quadrophenia was another foreign one at that time.
You ever see a Michael Douglas movie called Adam at 6 a.m.?
Oh, yeah, I like Adam at 6 a.m.
I like that movie
I have
a
a 16 print about that movie.
wow.
I like that film.
I like that too.
No, I think that's a
He
cool
was a
film.
good movie star.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And I liked him in that period in particular. I think that was a good period. Amongst the low-budget stuff, I saw at the theaters Beyond the Door Part 2, which was Mario Bava's last movie to receive a theatrical engagement.
Wow.
It's also known as Antifanto, or also known as Shock.
Oh, wow.
It was released in America as Beyond the Door Part 2. Winter Kills, which I'm a big fan of to this day.
Love that movie.
Love Winter Kills.
Love that movie. That was a Pauline Kael review that I read.
Yeah, okay,
And then felt I had to see the movie.
Yeah, Winter Kills is terrific. Also, saw The Kids Are All Right, the Who movie. That was a Who documentary. Actually, Rock and Roll High School was a sneak preview with the regular movie Kids Are All Right.
Oh, really?
And I don't like The Who, so I actually came for the last 45 minutes of Kids Are All Right to see Rock and Roll High School. David Cronenberg's The Brood.
Never saw it.
Oh, that's
Great.
I think it's his best movie, along with The Fly. City on Fire, not the Hong Kong one, but a Canadian disaster movie that had Barry Newman from Vanishing Point in it. And The Shape of Things to Come, which was a Canadian version of that book, done. They try to make it as Star Warsy as possible, with Jack Palance and Carol Lindley. The Australian film by Richard Franklin, who I'm a fan of, Patrick.
Hi, Zoo.
Shame of the Jungle, which was an interesting X-rated animated film that's really gross and very National Lampoony. The script by Michael O'Donoghue.
Oh, wow.
And
What's it called?
Shame of the Jungle.
Shame of the
And it has
Jungle.
Johnny Weissmuller III does Shame, but also like Bill Murray does voices in it, John Belushi does voices in it, Lorraine Newman does voices in it.
Did this get released, really?
Yeah. I was there at the theaters. I saw it when it came out. The Fifth Musketeer, which was a pretty good version of the Man in the Iron Mask.
Saw that. Michael York.
No, it's not Michael York. It's Beau Bridges.
Beau Bridges.
Beau Bridges and
I
Ursula
missed that.
Andress and Sylvia Kristal.
Oh, I missed it.
From
I thought it was Beau Bridges. I thought it was Michael York.
No, he's in the Three Musketeers and Four Musketeers.
Okay, sorry.
And
My
I think
mistake.
we're getting to the very end of the year. I can't pick that because I didn't see it at the theaters. Oh, this I did see at the theaters.
What?
All right, the last one is it was a Bruce Lee kung fu movie called The Tattoo Connection.
And how was it?
Which is it's not Bruce Lee, it's Jim Kelly.
Yay! What a year!
That was my 1979.
And did you find yourself loving movies even more after the end of that year?
Well, yeah, no. The other year that I saw the most movies along with 79 would be 1980. And not only
I'll
that,
have to do that another day.
Yeah, and not only that, though, but you also have to think that the other movie this year, because actually it was released for 1 week in 78 to qualify for the Oscars, but the other film this year was Deer Hunter, because Deer Hunter really played in 1979.
Wow.
It just played for 1 week in '78 to qualify for the Academy.
And did you go then, or did you wait?
No, I couldn't go that week. That week it played in Westwood because I was just too far away. But yeah, so if you were to ask me then, I think, well, I didn't have to choose because I was always able to say The Deer Hunter was a 1978 movie, even though officially it was 1979.
Right.
All right. But if I had to choose, Deer Hunter would have been the movie that would have been the movie of the year for me. Rocky II would have been the movie that I enjoyed the most.
Right.
Deer Hunter was the one that I had the most
intense relationship
with. And
it really holds up.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely does. Even though I like
more than Apocalypse Now.
Even though I
More
like
than
Deer
Apocalypse
Hunter more, I would have still chosen Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
Because I just saw Apocalypse Now as the more grander statement.
I see.
And the more grander adventure in filmmaking.
Even though you like Deer Hunter more.
Deer Hunter, I think, to me, Deer Hunter, I think, again, I didn't have to do it because
Yes.
I could keep putting it in 1978 because they worked out a wormhole for me to do that with. So I never had to make them match up in a one-on-one competition. But I actually think when I saw Deer Hunter, I thought it was the best movie ever made. I thought it was the best movie I'd ever seen, and I mean I saw it like 6 times during 1979.
Did you ever do the thing which I did with Deer Hunter where I sat there and just watched it again? You can't do that anymore, which is really sad.
Yeah,
now they have these big gaps.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
They used to have like a 10-minute.
No, I was always. No, it was. If I could have just got to the Russian roulette scene, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't want to get through the wedding again.
Yeah, exactly. But look, I paid for that fucking wedding 1,000,000 times. And the wedding's not that. That's the part I always like. I mean, it's all the Fall of Saigon stuff that I don't care about so much.
Right.
You know.
But he's incredible when he comes back, De Niro, too.
Yeah.
The end part is amazing.
Yeah.
There's something so broken about him.
But I mean, I actually think
He's so beautiful in that
but
movie.
I actually think that maybe
and
there were
Walken is ridiculous.
Well, there were exciting scenes, and there were thrilling scenes, and there were good action scenes, whether it be Jaws and there was emotional scenes in movies, whether it be the end of Close Encounters or you know the prom sequence in Carrie. There's all kinds of scenes that affected me in a big way, but there was nothing like the Russian roulette scene.
Right.
All right.
Right.
That I had ever seen before, where it was like I was in that room and like I saw the movie 6 times I saw this 3-hour movie 6 times in a theater. One, I was engulfed with the characters and like hanging out with all their tomfoolery during the deer hunting and their cabin.
Yeah.
Oh, they're singing along, singing in the bar and getting drunk.
Love when they sing.
Yeah. But having said all of that, it was that sequence in the prison camp that just blew me away. I'd never been put in a sequence like that before, and even even Pauline Kael, where it was like she actually thought a lot of the movie was BS, and even made a point about the idea that everyone's saying this guy is so great, and the only thing he's done is this Clint Eastwood movie. Well, basically, he's just made a big 3-hour, very pretentious Clint Eastwood movie. All right, it's very similar to that. But she goes, however, it's got the Russian roulette scene, and it's just one of the greatest pieces of cinema that has ever been directed, that has ever been acted, that has ever been edited, that has ever been sound edited. I mean, everything about that sequence is just just everything you go to movies for.
Right. Have you seen it recently?
I saw it about 4 years ago. Well, I've seen it before that because after Cimino died, we had a little retrospect, and so I saw with his goddaughter. We went and saw it together.
Wow,
But
cool.
The more meaningful screening is I saw it 3 years earlier at Terry's festival in Lyon.
Oh, in Lyon?
Yeah, he has an old movie festival in Lyon, and Cimino was there for a retrospect, and then he introduced a screening of The Deer Hunter, and me and Uma were at the thing together.
Oh wow!
And so we went and watched The Deer Hunter together, and that was the time where I hadn't seen it in about a decade. I definitely hadn't seen it since I've been a filmmaker. And I was already thinking about the Hateful Eight. So I was watching how he shot the weather. And I was really taking that in, and how he got the mist, for all the deer hunter scenes when they're in the mountains and stuff. And so I started like hitting him what questions about. They go, well, you got to get this place set up. You got to have like 3 places you can drop trigger on if you need to. Like maybe this place doesn't get snow and you have to be able to cut bait. And maybe this place gets too much snow and you got to be able to cut bait for there. You have to have 3 places you could pick up the production and go to if you need to. If you're really gonna be that serious about shooting the weather, then that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're shooting the weather.
Right.
You got to do what it takes for Terrence Malick to shoot the weather, and you got to do what it takes for me to shoot the weather. You're building it around the weather.
Right.
And I remember asking him about, so we're talking about the movie, and here's the thing, Michael Cimino didn't talk about the deer hunter. He made I don't talk that much about Pulp Fiction because everyone wants me to, and he didn't make a point about not talking about the deer hunter, but he was there for the whole week, so we get pretty familiar with each other. Everyone kind of eats at the same diner, at the same restaurant every day. So you kind of really you have lunch with everybody and almost dinner with them every night.
Right.
So you kind of really get to know everyone.
Right.
So like now you're going to this movie together and that movie together, and so you really start really breaking down that whole being a guest at a film festival thing. The way when I was more open, it was like when I used to go to a film festival.
Yeah.
And so after, he doesn't watch the screening of The Deer Hunter, but he's at the big dinner they have afterwards. So now I'm just peppering him with questions, and he's answering the questions. I can ask him anything about The Deer Hunter I want, and he'll give me the answer. And he told me a story about, he had his cut of the movie, and then Universal did their cut, which reduced the wedding sequence by a lot, and just brought the whole movie down to a more manageable length. So probably think about not 90 minutes, but say less than 2 hours. And then there's his version, which I'm imagining is 2:30 or 2:40 or something like that. And so he hated their cut, but that was their right to do their cut. He had his cut. So they were going to do a thing where they were going to show his cut and their cut. And whichever film got the better score from the audience would be the cut that goes out at the theater.
Wow.
So he screens his cut, and it screens, and it gets a good rating when it comes to would you recommend shit. So it gets a good rating. So now they're showing the other cut. And he's in the projection booth while it's going on. And it was a real weird jerry-rigged thing that they did because I don't think it was even on reels at the time. So it's like the actual film is threaded through the projector and it's going to another projector at the exact same time. I don't remember what the deal was, but it was a situation where it's not just attached to 2 reels. It's attached to the attached to the reel. The reel is going through the projector, and then it snakes out along the floor of the projector booth to a platter system, but they're not connected. So the film is actually
how's that going to work?
Running across. Well, it's just to keep it tight.
I see.
It's all moving, but the film was actually running just above the floor.
Oh wow!
To the reel, to the wet reel coming straight out of the lab.
Wow.
And he's sitting on a chair, and he sees the film going by his feet. And this is the cut version. This is the Universal 2-hour version of the movie. And he's looking at the film, and he's looking at the film, and he steps on it. And it gets all jammed up in the projector, and everything shuts down. And so it all gets fucked up. Okay, so then the lights come up for a little bit, and they will give us a second, we have to fix it. And then they fix it, and they get it back up again. But because of the break in the thing, and because there was a problem, because the lights went up and everything like that, it got a lower score.
Fantastic.
Than his version.
Fantastic.
But that wasn't the deal. The deal was what's got the better score.
So he won.
So he won. He cheated, but he won.
That's such a great story.
And then the other story he told me about, well, it wasn't a story. It wasn't a story. It was an interesting observation from him. After Deer Hunter, if you read the book Final Cut, he wanted to do Fountainhead.
Right, I know.
And he wanted Eastwood to play the architect in Fountainhead. And he said Eastwood came damn close to doing it.
Wow.
And he said the only reason he didn't do it is because Gary Cooper had played the part before, and he didn't want to. And he didn't want to be. He always felt he'd been associated with Gary Cooper, so he didn't want to play a role that Gary Cooper had played before.
Right.
And Michael was still, it was like, to this day, it was like, oh, I came so close to making the perfect Fountainhead because I had the perfect guy, and it would have been amazing. But then I asked him.
It's a hard project, though.
I asked him about, in talking about Deer Hunter, one of the things I realized watching Deer Hunter, I guess it's 6 years ago now, maybe less. Watching it at that screening, I realized that I didn't really understand the movie back in '79 when I saw it 6 times. I understood the bigness of the movie.
Right.
I understood the epic quality of it. And, but I didn't really get what it's about. And watching it that time, all of a sudden, I really saw what it was about. And then I brought it up to Michael, and he said, and then he backed up. Yeah, this is exactly what it's about. He was like, it's not about the Vietnam War. It's about a town in Pennsylvania that is tied to this old world Russian Catholic traditions. I mean, one of the things that's strange about the movie is the entire wedding ceremony, the entire pomp and circumstance of all the old ladies in the town, and all the young men and all the young ladies at the wedding. They all serve a function, and it's not just the normal best man and bridesmaid function. It all has something to do with this Russian Catholic tradition that goes back like 100 years.
Right.
Goes back way beyond America.
Right.
And like everybody in the town is part of this Russian Catholic tradition. And we don't even know what they're doing. No. Half the times we watch them do. We just know that they know what they're doing.
Right.
And they all kind of speak Russian a little bit. you know, and the parents all speak Russian, and then the kids all have an understanding of Russian to some degree.
Right.
And it's about this town in Pennsylvania, which might as well be a town in Russia, that has little to no connection with the wider American world, other than their jukebox, or their television set, and maybe their radio, and their life. The idea is to make their life the way it's been for the last 100 years.
Yes.
Now, as the 60s are going on, little by little by little, outside forces are imposing themselves in a pop culture way, in a cultural way to some degree.
Right.
But for the most part, even the young men are still holding on to an old line, an old way of being. And
they're supposed to stay.
And they're absolutely supposed to stay.
They're not supposed to leave.
And then a cataclysmic event happens to 3 of the young men.
Yeah.
And how it changes them forever, and it changes the people that they know in the town forever. And the people, and then when you see them, their little group, at the end of the movie, they're a completely changed and devastated people.
Yes, it's true.
And it has nothing to do with the Vietnam War. It's simply a cataclysmic event.
Absolutely.
And I don't think I understood that at all in 1979. Did you?
No, I saw it as damage to the individuals. Yeah. I didn't get the town.
Yeah.
I did not get the town. I mostly saw, to me it was what war does to you.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah, I thought, I did not make any bigger deal than if the 3 guys were in Tennessee selling moonshine.
And I thought that I honestly felt similar, I think, to you, that I had never seen anything like the Russian roulette scene. Yeah. I had never, I felt so devastated by it, like in this kind of profound, it wasn't even like a movie. It was like I was living in this thing.
But frankly,
and I had never seen Christopher Walken except in Annie Hall.
Yeah, I had never seen the just kind of jokey tomfoolery of the camaraderie that the guys had during their entire deer hunt, during the night afterwards.
Right.
I mean, after the wedding and everything, where it's like, it's not played like a movie. It's played like real life.
Yeah.
And it's really funny, like real life. And those guys are really funny, and their camaraderie together, and their bullshit together.
They're really funny, and there's also this feeling of dread, constant dread with the with the wine on the drinking.
Right. The movie breaks down what you would expect for a movie because, I mean, the wedding scene, you might as well be at the wedding.
Right.
All right. And then you might as well have gone deer hunting with them.
Right.
And then you're thrown into that POW camp.
Exactly.
And then you might as well be in the POW camp with them.
Exactly. Yeah. And also their acting is insane.
It's just, De Niro, now we got a game going. I mean, it's just the greatest film acting ever.
I mean, it's really something.
And then, and so.
It's great to see him in The Irishman.
Yeah.
Because it's a return.
I haven't seen it yet, yeah.
I won't tell you anything, but it's what you used to say, that a De Niro movie was an event.
Yeah.
It feels more like.
No, I believe it.
And Pacino mostly.
I believe it.
Pacino in the movie is.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Because he's quieter.
So I remember asking Michael, I go, because, he was from a Pennsylvania coal mining town.
Right.
I asked Michael Cimino, I go, so Michael, what if Charles Bronson had played Michael in Deer Hunter?
Was he up for it?
No, but it was like something I could imagine. I mean, he's made his career,
blue collar.
Yeah, he made his career with Eastwood with Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. And whatchamacallit, Walter Hill made his career with Charles Bronson. He wrote Hard Times for Jan Michael Vincent. And then Larry Gordon sends it to Charles Bronson. Bronson, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Great. And actually at a different festival, but the same festival, Walter Hill was there. And they were having a montage of some of his movies, and they showed Charles Bronson from Hard Times, and he goes, wow, if Charlie hadn't said yes to that, I mean, none of those other movies might have ever happened.
Right.
I mean, it all came down to Charlie Bronson saying yes to me as a first-time director.
Wow.
And then, I mean, if he had said no, none of those other movies might ever have happened. I mean, he actually was the guy that put me there. And so I'm interested, I just throw an idea out. So I go, well, what about Charles Bronson playing Michael? And Michael is the name of the character Robert De Niro plays.
Right.
And he was adamant. Well, he was adamant about two things. Adamant about, no, that wasn't right, but then adamant for me to understand why it wasn't right. And he was like, no. Charles Bronson would be all wrong for Michael. He would be all wrong. Michael has to be a king among men. Michael has to be a king. And De Niro, in that rented tuxedo, driving that shitty-ass Coupe de Ville, he's a king among his peers.
Right.
He's beyond them. He's from another time. He's from another world, and he's stuck in this world. And in a strange, in a way, the tragedy of the war opens him up. It gets him out of this town. He should not be of this town. He is a king.
Right.
He shouldn't be, lusting after his best friend's wife who works at the grocery store.
Yeah. He should be with somebody grander.
Yeah, he needs to cut loose these guys. And when he comes back, when he comes back, it's not the same. He's not the same, and there's no way he's going to spend any more time there after they get through singing "God Bless America." But he made a point. He goes, but that's why Bronson wouldn't be right, because I don't see him as a king among men. But I really respect Charles Bronson. Mm-hmm. I really respect a man. I respect the man who Charles Bronson was. I respect that I respect what he became. I respect where he came from. I respect that he worked the coal mines. And I respect that he came up the way he did as an actor. And so even though I don't think it's right for Michael, I know why you're saying that. And why you're saying that you're right, but you're wrong.
Well, that's good. But I think people also forget how beautiful Robert De Niro was. He was so clear. There was something so unique about him.
Well, there was
or
also-
Pacino, for that matter, was very beautiful.
Well, but
too.
there also, I mean, I actually
People
have a memory that was really amazing. Was back when the Mike Douglas show would do this. Mike Douglas did a show where it was like the whole show was New York, New York.
Oh, really?
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like so Liza Minnelli is co-hosting it, and she comes out. So she starts it off. She sings "The World Goes Round." Then so they talk with Mike for a while, her and Liza. Then they bring out Martin Scorsese, and he comes out and he talks about the movie, and they show behind the scenes crap and everything.
Wow.
And then Mary Kay Place comes out, and she's Loretta Haggard on Mary Hartman, and she's in this movie, and so she talks for a little bit. Then Diana Abbott, Robert De Niro's wife, comes out and sings "Honeysuckle Rose" from the movie, and then she goes and joins him on the couch, and they're talking, and he goes, "So you're married to Bobby, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, so where's Bobby now?" Because Robert De Niro doesn't do these shows.
Yeah.
"Oh no, he's just backstage. He's watching me." And they get Robert De Niro to come out, and so Robert De Niro comes out. He's making Deer Hunter.
Oh my God.
So he's in his Deer Hunter beard. And so Robert De Niro in his Deer Hunter beard comes out on the Mike Douglas show to do a thing for New York, New York. And he's
Does he say anything, or is he
he's
shy?
lured out. He's lured
Yeah.
out. And he sits down, and they go, "So I'm doing a movie right now. So are you doing something right now? Is that what the beard's about?" Yeah, I'm doing a thing right now. Yeah, it's called Deer Hunter. I'm working with a lot of really, really good actors that I respect. "Oh, well, like who?" And he's thinking he's gonna John Savage and Christopher Walken and John Cassell.
Meryl Streep.
All these people that Mike Douglas has no idea who he's talking about.
And Michael Douglas is great.
Yeah. And then Mike Douglas, I mean. And then, not Michael Douglas.
Mike Douglas. Mike Douglas.
And then the whole episode ends with Liza Minnelli doing a big New York, New York. And that was the end of the episode. Ta-da!
And you were like, this is the greatest.
Yeah, it was terrific. but now it's just amazing to imagine, to remember seeing Robert De Niro while he was making Deer Hunter and having him iconically walk out with the Deer Hunter beard.
And being shy.
Yeah, and being really shy. Yeah, he was like looking at his shoes the entire time.
Looking very beautiful. All right, I think we're done.